Maybe it's
Hello, everyone. This is Kristen Kayla, the host of the webinar today. Thank you so much for joining us. Participants are muted upon entering the webinar to avoid background noise. And I am going to just go over a few housekeeping rules before I hand the baton over to Claudia, our guest speaker for today. All right, so if you have any chats or anything comes up throughout the presentation, please find that chat icon on your screen. It might be in the bottom or top ribbon of your screen, but go ahead and click that chat icon. We do receive it in real time, but we will try and get to it in the order that we receive them. We always start off with this disclaimer. The information provided in this presentation is intended for the general information of the audience. It is not medical advice and shall not replace consultation with your physician or other qualified health provider. If you have any health-related questions or problems, please seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider. So as I mentioned, we have a guest speaker today from John Muir Health. Thank you, Claudia, for joining us again. We've had Claudia present in the past, and we've had terrific engagement, participation. So thank you again, Claudia, for joining us for the June Wellness webinar titled Healthy Eating on a Budget. You may begin your presentation. Thank you.
great. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. It's great to be here again. I think this is always a great subject to discuss with my patients and clients and over webinars and such, even every year. I just briefly, before I got on, I wanted to see, we all probably feel inflation and how much more expensive our groceries have been. And so I looked up, I wanted to get some information, and according to the Consumer Price Index, the average cost of eating food at home has risen almost 12% in the past year. So I don't know about everyone else, but I'm definitely feeling it. I've got 2 teenagers at home, and it's expensive. So it's great to review this. These are great reminders and great ideas for a lot of us. And we want to talk about some barriers that can get in the way of healthy eating. And what we'll talk about today is more, how to keep within our budget and still be able to eat healthy. Eating healthy does not have to be expensive and should not break the bank. And of course, in the long run, I'm a registered dietitian. I've been doing this for over 25 years now, and really incorporating healthy foods, healthy eating into your everyday life and into your family's life really helps out in the long run with your health and well-being. So just think of it as an investment in yourself and in your family and for your future. So these are just a couple of the things that we'll go over today. Next slide, please. So cost, again, what I said earlier, healthy eating does not have to be expensive. There are certainly healthy foods that are out there that can cost a lot of money, but do you necessarily need that all of the time? So hopefully with my tips today, it's going to help save some money and allow you to eat better. Next. So when we look at people over time, there's a lot of large studies that are out there and we follow, and we want to know why, certain populations, certain people in different regions of the US or in the world live long, healthy lives. And what do they do? What are some healthy habits that they may be doing on a regular basis? And what we see is that folks who plan their meals ahead, write grocery lists, create a food budget, they eat healthier than those who don't. And it just depends on the type of person that you are. There's so many apps now that we can use on our phones. I still personally like to write down kind of the plan for the week ahead, especially dinners, and then build my grocery list around that. By experience, I have found that if I don't do that, then the week ahead can be a little chaotic. We end up spending a lot more money because we may not have the items we need in the house. It's getting late, and then we just end up ordering food to go and or having it delivered. And I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with that as well. And if I do make a meal plan for the week, and like I said, even if it's just for dinners, what a difference that makes. I can shop on the weekends, kind of have the pantry and the refrigerator stocked and ready to go. And then there's less questions by the time you get home from work and everybody's hungry. So the more that you plan, the more you're able to stick to your plan of healthy eating. Next. So this is what we're going to review today and go over today are 10 tips to eating healthy on a budget. So talking about, buying some produce that's in season and how to figure that out, looking for sales, creating a budget, preparing for the week, using those leftovers, maybe doing some more plant-based meals, price comparison, getting creative. Number 9, this is a big one, trying to purchase only what you need, make a list, stick to it, and then some affordable swaps that can be made. Next. Okay, so buying fruits and vegetables in season. This is really important. The way, the food industry has moved over time, a lot of us may not be aware where our produce comes from. We may sometimes fruits and vegetables may be picked before they're ripe, then they get put on a truck, and then that truck may be traveling across a few states, and then the produce may be ripening in a warehouse. It all depends on where you live. I'm in California, so we do have a lot of farms and produce up and down the state, but that's not always the case. So that's, one area, one idea to think about. And when you know what's in season, it can help you at the grocery store. And usually those foods, especially if they're not coming from too far away, they'll be at a better price. So in-season produce is cheaper. It's usually going to taste better because it's fresher. So again, less travel time, less time and labor, and that goes into shipping the produce. And how do you know what's in season? So if we can look at the next slide, please. This is one of my favorite resources, whether you have a family or not. It's called the healthyfamilyproject.com. And they have a tab about what's in season for each month. So you can just look at the month ahead or the month that's coming and just quickly glance over these items. And these may be items that you look at when you're at the grocery store. You'll probably get better deals, or if you have a local farmer's market. There's websites. If you don't know where your local farmer's market is, you can just do a search and find that. And when it comes to farmers markets, what I have learned over the years is if you go towards the end of the market, a lot of the farmers and the folks that are working the stands, they don't want to pack everything back up. So that's when the deals are to be had. So if you can do it and kind of time your visit to the farmer's market right, I've gotten, over the years, some great deals. And the more often you go, you get to know the folks that are at the farmer's market and talk to them a little bit more, and you can get some great deals. And I'm sorry, back to the previous slide. Can we move back to the previous slide really quick? There is the plate, and I call it the plate method of meal planning. ChooseMyPlate.gov is one place where you can look at this. And it's a really great way to teach people of all ages on healthy eating. And as you can see, half of that plate, it's kind of is your fruits and vegetables. So we really want to fill our plates, our bowls, our salads, whatever it may be, sandwiches, soup, more vegetables, and then having fruit more often when we can. Most Americans are not meeting the requirements for their fruit and vegetable intake. All right, so we can go to the next slide. And then we can go to the next slide. And quickly, one more thing on fruits and vegetables, which I will get to again in a little bit. They don't always have to be fresh. I use frozen fruit all the time. I even used, and vegetables, canned as well. Many times the frozen and even the canned fruits and vegetables probably, or most of the time, actually hold their nutrition, so the vitamins and minerals and nutrients, even more, because once they're picked, they get flash frozen or they go through that canning process. So it really helps the produce retain the nutrients that we're looking for. So it's great to be able to use a variety, fresh, frozen, and even canned, within your, daily diet. All right. So here we are at number 2, searching for sales. Definitely buy the foods that you love. Just because something's on sale and you're saving money, but you don't like it, you don't buy it. You want to stick with stuff that you will eat or that your family will eat. Even if I peek into my pantry right now, there's probably a couple things that have been in there for a long time that I thought would be a good thing to try, or maybe it was on sale or it was some special at Costco and no one's touched it. So that's something to think about when you're planning for your week. So, you want to make sure you're going to use it as well. Okay, next. So creating a food budget, you want to do something that works for you. Again, I mentioned the apps. I can't even keep up with all the various apps that are out there. I know I have a lot of clients and patients that like to use apps, or if you're a pen and paper kind of person like myself, you just want to do what works for you. Something that what I'll do is I'll look back on our bank account, and see where we've been spending our money for the past week or month. And especially when I was talking earlier with Kristen, in the summer months, it seems the eating out happens more often. So that's where a lot of the money can go. And then just notice next time you're at the grocery store. And for instance, I did my weekly shopping yesterday. I had some time and I spent a little under $200 for a whole week for a family of 4, including 2 teenagers. And it just kind of made me stop and pause and think, wow, if the 4 of us go out to eat, we can easily spend that much money, especially with 2 teenagers, and that's for one meal. So it just, it does make you think about it a little bit, like spending my money at the grocery store versus eating out a couple times a week and looking at that difference. Next. So prepare for the week. Again, thinking about when we study the healthy habits of folks who are living long, healthy lives, maybe with not very many chronic health diseases, or maybe they do, but they're managing them well. What are they doing? And this is one of the things that we find they're doing. Some folks like to journal, and others just like to sketch out something about the week ahead. So plan your meals. And again, it does not have to be breakfast, lunch, and dinner unless you like it. I have found that just planning out your dinners can make a world of difference. You can, again, use an app. They have some grocery list pads of paper that you can find at some stationery stores or even at some grocery stores. There's a bunch you can find out online and print them out and just write out your meals. I've taught a few classes before just on meal planning, and what has been really helpful and fun for people, and I use this myself, is maybe making theme nights. So not just Taco Tuesdays, but you can do Meatless Monday. So that's where you do plan a plant-based meal. You can do pizza on Fridays, and maybe Wednesday is a barbecue and Thursday is burger night. You can make these theme nights, so that takes a little bit of pressure off, and you can alter those meals week to week slightly or look up new recipes. but it definitely helps if you're working parents, or even if you're single and you work and you get home late, to know what you're going to have and be prepared by having that item in the freezer, fridge, or pantry and being able to put it together quickly. Okay, next slide, please. So repurposing leftovers. This is a great one. I know a lot of folks don't like leftovers, but if you can do something different with those leftovers. So if you had a stir fry, for, looking at the examples, and then maybe tomorrow you can take some of those leftovers and make a wrap sandwich out of it, or put that over a salad or some grains that you may have. Trying to get creative. We tend to do, like I was saying, the Taco Tuesdays. We'll make a bunch of beans in a crock pot, more than enough, not just for dinner, but then what I'll do is I'm cleaning up in the evening, I'll make some burritos and have them in the fridge ready to go for whoever is hungry the next day or wants to grab one for lunch. So you can just find different ways to get creative with that food where you're not throwing it out. Next, and there's great recipes and websites out there as well for this. Okay, you heard me mention Meatless Monday. Definitely meatless meals can save money. And I mentioned there's actually a website called Meatless Mondays. And if you just type that in, I think it's meatlessmondays.com, really excellent recipes and ideas, especially if this is something new to you. Beans can be very inexpensive, whether you cook them, like I said, in a crock pot or you use the canned beans. I have both. It's a matter of time. And I know canning, people think perhaps the nutrients get lost in the canning process, which is not true. Or it might be too salty, or perhaps if it's a fruit, it might be in a heavy syrup. So there are ways to pick healthier canned options if you can. If it's a fruit, you can pick it in its own juices. If you're looking for low sodium, a lot of the beans and soups will have a low sodium version. If not, just whatever cans you can get if the price is right. Rinse it. Just rinse it under water, use a colander and rinse those beans off under water before you cook with them. And that'll remove about 30% of the sodium. So that's a great way to do it too. Or you can always use 1 can of low sodium beans, 1 can of regular beans, combine them together, and you're already bringing down the total amount of sodium there. Lentils are wonderful. Tofu is quite inexpensive. It's really easy to work with. Once you've had it a few times and played around with it a little bit, there's some great recipes out there. Seeds and nuts that you can add to a salad, really, really good nutrition. They just pack a bunch of micronutrients that are really good for the heart and the brain, as well as fiber. So there's lots of things that you can do. And even, I say start with just 1 day a week, like a Meatless Monday, and maybe even just 1 meal a week. And then you can slowly increase that as time goes on. So it's good for you. It's very healthy. It's good for the environment. And you don't have to totally convert to becoming a vegetarian or a vegan. You're just including a few meatless meals each week. And it's budget friendly. Next. So comparing prices. Now, I don't know a lot of people who still do this, but it is a good tip to use. It's the unit prices. So you have to, for a lot of us who are, maybe above 40, you want to pull out your glasses because it can be quite small print and compare, different cottage cheeses or yogurts and look at that price per unit. So unit pricing, you'll usually find it on the supermarket shelves. It's a little tag underneath the item. And it's, of course, you want to compare similar foods in different size containers. So the prices are given as a cost per unit rather than the price per package or container. So you want to play around with it a little bit. The unit might be an ounce, a quart, or some other type of measurement. And again, if the food unit and the units are being compared are the same, the best value is going to be the lowest price per unit. I'm not sure if that quite makes sense, that you just got to get in the grocery store and look at that a little bit. The other time I use this is if you're going to a Costco or a Sam's Club and say you're comparing paper towels or toilet paper or whatever it may be, you can also look at the price per sheet or the price per unit, whatever that unit may be, and you can do some comparison that way as well. And it's really made a difference in how I shop and how you can save some money. Back to seasonal foods. So if something is out of season, when it comes to produce, that's when you want to, buy it frozen. That again, when that food was maybe picked at the height of the season and then flash frozen, it's going to retain those nutrients. So you'll probably have better flavor than buying an out of season fresh piece of produce. You've probably experienced that before with buying tomatoes in the wintertime. They just don't have that same flavor as a spring, summertime tomato. But frozen tomatoes, that's probably not the best example to give, but at least you can get that taste difference that you may find. So again, sticking to what's seasonal. Let's go next. Getting creative in your pantry. So this is something I try and do as well. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that TV show Chopped, where they're just giving, a certain ingredients and having to get creative. Some people are really good at this and others prefer to stick with recipes and planning ahead. I do try and look at my fridge and my pantry first before I go shopping to see what I still have that can be used. So I'm not throwing food out. I know that's there's so much food waste. Think about that plate as a guide. So half of it, lots of color, fruits and vegetables. A quarter of that plate can be your protein, and a quarter of that plate can be your starch or your carbs, various grains, potatoes, pasta, bread, if you're making a sandwich. So kind of always have that plate picture in your mind when you're planning or you're trying to get creative with what you have left. When it comes to produce, especially with fruit, and you're not getting through the fruit as quickly as you would like, you don't want it to go bad. This happens with bananas. It can happen with berries, just depending on your household. I freeze so much of that. I just have a bag in the freezer where I'll just dump in fruit, or I'll save all my bananas, even when they're brown. I save them and freeze them, and they can be used in smoothies later on. Or I'll use my frozen brown bananas in banana bread or other recipes. So those are just some other things that you can do to reduce waste. Next. Okay, so this is, again, like I said, a tough one, trying to purchase only what you need. So in the United States, 30 to 40% of food supply is wasted, which is around 20 pounds of food per person per month. That can be quite expensive. It's probably gone up. I think that was from 2015. Try to stick to that list that you've created. I know it's difficult. Grocery stores, Costco, these big, food stores and supermarkets, they're designed a certain way to get us to spend more money. They put certain items on the end of the aisles or at the checkout stands to entice us. So it's something I try and practice myself. It can be difficult. It can be difficult if you go to the store hungry, if you've got your kids with you. a lot of times we end up spending a lot more money. So really, really try and purchase what and to that list. Next. So it's fine to modify recipes or do these affordable swaps, I call them. Again, making that looking in your fridge, looking in the pantry, what do you have on the counter? What needs to be cooked quickly or cut up quickly, put into a fruit salad, or let's grill it tonight. Let's cook it tonight and we can eat it tomorrow or the next day. We just don't want food to go bad and throw these foods away. So getting creative, being okay to modify recipes. When you're in the grocery store, say you were hoping to buy raspberries, but they're so expensive. So can you use frozen raspberries, or perhaps the strawberries are on sale? Look at something similar that can be used. I oftentimes, I'm also a diabetes educator, and when I'm working with my patients with diabetes, and I'm trying to get them to eat less of the sweetened yogurts and have them buy a plain yogurt where they can add their own vanilla and their own fruit to it. So not only does it decrease the amount of sugar that they're eating or added sugars, but it's actually a lot cheaper that way as well, buying a plain yogurt and then perhaps using whatever fruit they have on hand or even frozen fruits. So that's another little tip where we're kind of helping with control their blood sugars, but also helping with that food budget as well. So again, look at some swapping and getting creative. Next. So cooking for one, this can be, definitely going to Costco or some of these big warehouse stores, probably not the best idea unless you are buying frozen items. I have noticed at Trader Joe's and the other store that we have up here in the Bay Area is called Sprouts. They have these great packaged produce for 1 or 2 servings instead of bigger bags. I think that's great. So I think, the food industry and grocery stores are recognizing that. And so they're starting to make smaller produce packages as well. The downfall to that is that things might be more expensive. Oftentimes, when we buy in bulk and larger portions, the price goes down. So keeping an eye on that. Something you can do is maybe go in on a trip to Costco with a neighbor or with friends or with family members, and then divide up what you have purchased. Again, choose a variety. Not everything has to be fresh or from farmers market. You can have a little bit of that, but you can still have wonderful freezer items as well as canned dried fruits and vegetables as well. I'm always thinking about what else can I do with these foods? What can I do with these leftovers? What can I make with this tomorrow? So keep that in mind when you're, scanning your fridge and what needs to be used before you need to toss it. Try and keep your ingredients simple. I love all the recipes that we have access to now on the web or on your social media. That's the first thing I look at is what the ingredient list is. And if it's super long and with a lot of things that I don't have on hand or that I know will take a couple trips to different stores, I may pass on it, or I may just get creative and eliminate certain things. And then I have a really great resource at the end of my talk that I'll talk about, which will give more tips on choosing fruits and veggies, proteins and grains within your budget as well, even when you're just cooking for one. Next. So again, here it is, keeping it simple. So maybe you aim for recipes that have 5 ingredients or less. What do you already have in your pantry or in your spice rack? Improvise a little bit. So swap spices. Can you use dried instead of fresh? I do that all the time. Or if I don't have a certain ingredient, I'll Google, or whatever web thing you use and say, what can I use instead of thyme, or what can I use instead of basil, whatever it may be. you can find some great swaps that way as well. Next, please. Oops, did I miss one? Let me see here. Let's see, we should be on prevent waste. I think it's the next. There we go. So again, always, eyeball what you have on hand. You can move things that need to be eaten sooner than later to the front. And in the food service world, we call this first in, first out. So, that's what I try and do in my refrigerator or even in the pantry. I put things that need to be eaten sooner, and then I'll put the fresher or newer items in the back. Again, varying the types of fruits and veggies. You're going to hear me say this a lot. It's okay to have a combination of all those items on hand. Try to only buy what you can eat before it goes bad. Be strategic. And, if you did all your shopping on the weekend, like I was saying, that first in, first out. So maybe the more perishable foods you're going to use earlier in the week. So you may adjust your menu a little bit and then save the hardier produce. If you've got broccoli, cabbage, carrots, potatoes, things like that, for those recipes towards the end of the week, because they'll last longer. Next. This is another great resource. If you do social media on Instagram, this is a dietitian that I adore, and she has really wonderful tips. So her handle is Chew the Facts, FACTS, and then that's her website there as well. But this was a great, she does a lot of these books, but this was a zero waste cooking. So how to really, really decrease waste in the kitchen. So this is an incredibly budget friendly, I don't want to call it a cookbook, but there also are some great recipes and tips and ideas on here. And if you don't want to buy anything, I recommend just going to her website for some ideas, or if you like to get some tips online on social media, check out her Instagram handle for more tips. It's really, really great. Next. Okay, so we're just going to go over quickly, because I know I'm running out of time here, on proteins. So I think when I first created this PowerPoint, eggs were not as expensive as they are now. I know they've come down a little bit, but it's definitely a quick and easier way to make and have protein in the evening. Say if you don't have a lot of time, a lot of folks will do breakfast for dinner. That will work. So, or hard boiling a bunch of eggs, like on the screen says to do, so you can have them and throw them in your lunch, or have them in the morning at breakfast time, or add it to a salad. When it comes to meat and poultry, buying those larger packages, of course, the price is going to proportion is going to go down. And again, that just depends on the size of your family, but perhaps you can, like I was saying earlier, if you can go in with a friend or a family member, and then divide everything up and freeze it, and it will last longer, and you'll save some money that way as well. Again, looking at the price per unit on these large containers versus individually packaged, that goes for meat and poultry, but as well as milk, cheese, and yogurt. So just something to look at. Now, when people buy just chicken breasts, a package of that, it's going to be more expensive than buying the whole chicken. So, in some of my other classes, we talk about the whole chicken and how purchasing that is a lot cheaper, and what you can do, take the skin off before you eat it. You can still use all that meat in various recipes or for what you need that evening time, and save money in the long run. So again, it just kind of depends on where you're at, and what you can do when it comes to your proteins. When we talked about the meatless proteins, they also can be more inexpensive, especially when you're doing beans, lentils, tofu, nuts and seeds. Now, some of these new meatless items like the Impossible Burger and the these other burgers, they can be quite pricey. So, and maybe not even the healthiest choice. So kind of going back to those basics where if I'm making a salad and I don't have a protein available, I'll look in my pantry. There's a can of kidney beans. I'll take it out, I'll rinse it, I'll add the beans and maybe one of those hard-boiled eggs to my salad. And now I have a much more satisfying meal, and not very expensive. All right, we can move on to grains next. So you can freeze whole grains. Now I have noticed at Trader Joe's and some other grocery stores, they have already done the work for you. So you're trying to incorporate more whole grains into your diet. You can find pre-cooked brown rice, barley, quinoa, mixed rices that you can have and keep it in the freezer and just pull out a half a cup to a cup, whatever you need, especially for my folks who live alone or just maybe a couple of you versus a family. That's a great way of doing it. I freeze bread all the time, so you may get a better deal on a larger size of bread or 2 loaves of bread. Well, you can always freeze one of them while you're using the other loaf during the week. Bulk bins, I think they're coming back. I think they kind of went away during the COVID times, but that's another way of saving a little money. And when it comes to grains, nuts, and seeds, some of these items can be frozen as well to last longer. Next. So mixing up your spices and marinades, again, this is where when you're looking at some recipes and this resource that's coming up that I want to talk to you about will give you a lot of ideas just to change things up a little bit. So avoiding boredom by trying new flavors. So using fresh, dried herbs and spices, lemon, lime, or orange juice. So that's the acid. Trying different vinegars, especially if you like to make your own salad dressings. There's some really simple salad dressing recipes online and wonderful oils that we can use as well. So I'm always encouraging more of the heart healthy oils, olive oil, avocado oil, grapeseed oil, canola oil. These are all wonderful oils to use on a regular basis. Next. So this is a really great resource. I'm not sure how this works over a webinar, but if you hold your phone camera up to this it works. If you hold it up to the QR code and you open it up, I just discovered this earlier in the week and I can't wait to show it off some more. So this is from MyPlategov, and this is a whole budget friendly, once you open it up, little website. And you can browse by food groups. So you can click, let's say fruits, and then you can click on mango. And then it'll tell you when mangoes are in season, how you want to store them, when you're trying to purchase them, what to look for, what's ripe versus what not ripe, how to serve them. Then they give you recipe ideas, and then they tell you the nutrition on the fruit or whatever it is that you chose. It is a really great tool for people to have. You can also, once you open up that QR code, I'm not sure if anyone's doing it, but you can find, if you click the find more ways to save. So use these tips to save more at the store. So they tell you how to make a meal plan, how to shop smart based on what type of food you're shopping for, and how to prepare healthy meals. So kitchen time savers, organizing your kitchen, chopping up extra foods. It's really, really great. And then I also love that you can find recipes all within this one site. And the overall goal is saving money. and eating healthy. So my new favorite website. So please check that out. And if you're, even if you're looking at this as a recording, just scan that with your phone and you'll get some really wonderful tips and ideas there. It's pretty much this whole talk and more in a nutshell there. And finally, I think the last slide that we have here is just references that were used for this PowerPoint. But I think, like I said, that MyPlategov, the budget shop simple site that you just pulled up with that QR code will probably help you out the most, in addition to a couple of those other references that I talked about during the talk. So I think, how are we doing on time? Are we okay?
Yes, we're doing just fine. Thank you.
Okay,
Olivia.
great. Yeah, so I'm open. I don't know how if you want me to answer any questions or.
Sure. Yeah. Alma and Laura, if you would like to unmute yourself, if there's any questions that came through that you were not able to answer, we can open up the floor for a few minutes if you have any chats that came through. If not, no worries, just let me know and then I can proceed with the next few slides.
Oh, it's
Like-
Laura. I've got one. This
Sure.
one is a question regarding the green juice. This person heard that making their own green juice wasn't good. It's better to eat the veggies instead. Just wondering if you would agree with that. This person said that the green juice is not a substitute for
Right.
their own vegetable intake. It would be an
Right.
addition to jumpstart
Right.
their day.
Right. That would be the first question I have. Well, are you, the green juice, if they're making it at home, they're going to be saving money versus buying it in the store. It's going to be a lot more expensive in the store. And then I would always try and have people eat the vegetables first. A lot of times the juices will separate the juice from the bulk, which is the fiber, which is a lot of what we want from the veggies as well. It helps keep us full longer and keep us regular. So if you're doing it at home on your own, that's fine. And if you're having it in addition to your salad and your vegetables at dinner time, that's fine as well. But I would be cautious with the green juices that you buy in the store because number one, they're expensive. They don't count as your full vegetable intake. And some of them, they may be sneaky and they're adding sugars to it as well. So it tastes great. So you may look at the food label and make sure it's not super high in added sugars as well. Great question.
Yeah, thank you. Any more questions, Laura or Alma?
Here's another one. Do you have any comments on the slogan, "Sugar is the enemy"? And there was a website.
Oh, I love sugar. And most dietitians do. I would say I think there's room for all foods fit. I think we can have sugar in our diet. We have to be careful with the amount of added sugars. So we find this in the market and out and about, mostly in drinks. So energy drinks, coffee drinks, sodas. You got to be careful. They're putting, 10 to 12 teaspoons of sugar in some of these drinks. It's way too much for us. I prefer to eat my desserts than drink them. So you just got to be careful with how many you have. The American Heart Association has a great website with really good nutrition information, and they have some good information on added sugars there and how much people should be, how much is allowed and not allowed. But I don't think you need to cut out sugar completely. There's definitely room for it as well. And then there's difference between added sugars and natural sugars that we would find in regular milk or plain yogurt. They contain lactose. You're also getting a lot of great nutrition in those products as well, like calcium, vitamin D, and fruit contains fructose, which is a natural sugar. And I get really upset when people have been told to cut fruit out from their diet. I don't think that is necessary, not even for my diabetics.
Yeah, thank you so much. And all I can say is I'm hungry after listening to this presentation, especially the
Yeah,
Meatless
it's definitely
Monday.
a hard part of the job.
Yeah, the Meatless Monday slide. Those tacos looked very delicious.
Yeah. That's some
Yeah, but thank
great
you so much.
recipes there too. But like I said, I think that QR code with the MyPlate is such a wonderful tool. I can't believe I just discovered that this week. They're kind of always updating things, but it's really wonderful.
Yeah, no, that was
Really
nice. I brought it
wonderful.
up on my phone and yeah, it looks like a really handy little website to check out. So thank you
Yeah,
so
and
much
you
for
could use
setting
it while you're in the store.
it.
It's kind of easy.
Yeah,
Quick.
when you're out and about, you can just open it up and there you go.
Yep.
So, okay, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Let me check the slides here. We went through questions. Okay, I'll just spend the next few minutes because I know we're at time. I'll just spend the next few minutes reviewing these slides on programs that help HealthNet members stay on track with their health, and our members can find wellness programs and other resources when logging into their HealthNet accounts. So we do offer telephonic health coaching. It supports and provides help at your fingertips. Tackling new health goals can be challenging, but you don't have to face it alone. Maybe this is a year to explore health coaching. Coaches can help you prioritize your goals, strategize a plan, support you through your journey, and help you tackle those bumps on the road. And then also, if you have a health concern, HealthNet members can call the nurse advice line to speak to a registered nurse, and that number is right there on your screen. Healthy discounts. Who doesn't love a healthy discount? We have discounts to weight management programs such as Weight Watchers, chiropractic and acupuncture services, eye care, hearing aids, and screenings, along with fitness club discounts. So go ahead and log into the portal and check out those discounts at your convenience. MyStrength, we've partnered with MyStrength for many years now. It has proven tools for your mind, body, and spirit. This online program is also available in app form through your smartphone so that you can have support at home and also on the go. So to help you learn to reduce stress, anxiety, depression, substance use, and more. There's many modules on this platform. There's quick videos for mental health professionals. There's also guided meditations and inspirations on topics of joy, laughter, positivity, just to name a few. So it's a really robust program, and it is also free for our HealthNet members to access. So please check that out. And online health challenges. HealthNet offers a variety of online health challenges through our wellness platform. The ongoing monthly challenges include stress, sleep, steps, and they're available to everyone. And there's a few links there on your screen. So for non-HealthNet members, you can register and log into sharecare.com. For HealthNet members, you can register and log into healthnet.sharecare.com to access the online health challenges and some of the previous programs that I went over today, like health coaching and the Real Age test, which is our health assessment. So please check that out at your convenience. So we do have two 90-day challenges called Ready, Set, Summer that runs until the end of August. You track your habits and monitor your progress. And there's a small steps, big strides step challenge. And we also have Beat the Heat and Change Your Mind challenges along with Step It Up. So please check those out. They're very popular. And then for our July Wellness webinar, we hope you join us. It's called Expand Your Wellbeing Portfolio, with Green Space. And that will be on Wednesday, July 19th. So same time, 12 o'clock. our increasing reliance on technology combined with a global trend toward urban living means many of us are spending less time outdoors, unfortunately. So being in nature, living in nature, or even viewing nature in paintings and videos can really have a positive impact on our brains, bodies, and feelings, and also our social interactions. So please join us as we explore the power of nature, the positive effects of green space, practical tips for including green space in our lives, and we'll end the webinar with a guided nature visual relaxation exercise, which I'm really excited to explore with everybody. So we hope you join us next month. Again, that will be on Wednesday, July 19th at 12 o'clock. So thank you so much for your time today joining us. And Claudia, thank you once again for joining us. I always enjoy your presentations and love hearing all these helpful tips that you can provide to us. I know I learned a lot today, and I'm sure everybody else did. So we can't wait to have you back to present on another topic in the near future. So thank you everyone for joining us.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you everyone. Have a great day.